Blunt Cuts is a podcast fueled by creativity, curiosity, and empowerment.
We cut through the daily mess of life. This is unfiltered honesty.
Park your passive at the door. This is Blunt Cuts. Welcome to Blunt Cuts. I'm CJ. And today we're talking about our fucking lady parts and how sometimes they make life hell. So joining me in the studio is Christina Soderstrom, wardrobe stylist, entrepreneur, and we both unfortunately share something, and that's endometriosis. Welcome to the studio, Christina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So first off, tell me a little bit about what you do in the Twin Cities.
Okay, in the Twin Cities, my husband and I own a vintage shop called the Bearded Mermaid, and we deal with a lot of vintage men's clothing mostly. And then I'm also a wardrobe stylist, so I do a lot of photo shoots, personal styling, basically anything anyone asks me to do with dressing them, I'll do it.
Fantastic. Hey, yeah. I'm right there with you.
And yes, I also have endometriosis, and it affects it daily. So when people do ask me to do things, it's really hard to get through the day when I'm doing them. But being that I do what I love every single day, it helps a lot.
And for those of you that don't know or haven't heard about endometriosis, it's a condition of when your normal cycle, you would have your normal uterine cells shed through a normal period. Well, endometriosis patients find that they're getting uterine cells kind of growing outside of where they should be, all different areas. I know for me, definitely like all over my bladder, bowel, different places. So any given time of a month, not even your normal cycle time when the average woman has a few days of pain. Endometriosis patients feel that all of the time. It is not just those, 3, 4, 5 days of a month down. Really, truly, we are feeling a constant pain in our abdomen, constant pain a lot of different places. I know for me, like it's made other parts of my body hurt and taking me away from, those things that I love. Or I'm also one of those people that just pushes through the pain, and then that comes to bite me in the ass.
That's the worst, is pushing through it. And I also have it on my everywhere, bladder, bowels, almost the exact same as you do. But I have like sciatica from it. The nerve in your back, it shoots pain down your leg. And a normal pain scale, when people say, what's your pain level? And I'll say 5. That's a normal person's probably 10 or 11. So when I say 5, I'm at the verge of tears, but I can deal with it because over the years I've just been pushing through this and pushing through this. It's the worst. Now, some people that I tell, their jaws drop to the floor because they've never heard anything like it. And they're also so confused as to how there's not a cure yet. I just don't think there's very much awareness of this. And also, 1 in 10 women have endometriosis, which is crazy. So if you think of the 10 women that that are close to you, one of them has it if you don't.
Well, and I think it's so variable, too. The moment I started talking about it, I had more and more friends come forward and say, oh, my gosh, me too.
Right.
But rarely would have unless I opened that door, would have that come up.
Right.
Very similarly, Christina and I were going to come in today and talk trends, P.S. And great, awesome topic. Like that would be fun. But we had our initial pre-talk and this came about. And I was like, that's it, girl. We have to be so honest and talk to people about like our fucking lady parts today. Because I'm really mad at mine. So
I'm so angry with mine. I hate mine so much. And to kind of piggyback off of that, the whole reason that we got on the topic is because you had one of your podcasts at a theater a few doors down from my office and my shop, and I was on the couch just in so much pain, almost in like a blackout pain, I kind of call them, when I'm on the couch for 4 or 5 days, just, sucking on the tit of Netflix, and I looked at my phone, I looked at some stories, and every single person that I would love to be hanging out with is on my block. And I was just almost in tears, you know, like all these cool women are just right down the street from me, but I can't even get off my couch to, you know, go to the bathroom. And, you know, I was really upset. I actually texted my husband and I said, you need to clean the shop up right now. And there's a bunch of cool ladies down there. And it was really upsetting. So and I told Christina here that was a really big issue for me, and I was on the couch with endometriosis, and she said, oh my God, I am dealing with the same thing. And then it just kind of went from there, and I think we were on the phone for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. That happens. Well, that happens in general when people are like, you know, a little bit of a deeper conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, we could be real life friends. I'm going to keep this going forever. And then usually I scare people off. But. So tell me about when you first found out that you had endometriosis.
Okay, so I think I've always known that something was wrong with me. I feel like period pain just comes with getting your period, and that's what people think, and that's what women think, and they're down for the count. And I was not only down for the count, but I thought I needed to go to the hospital half of the month. So about, 15 years ago, I'll start from the very beginning. When I first got my period, my very first time, I thought I was dying. I had a fever. I was pacing back and forth in my mom's guest room. I couldn't even be in my own bedroom. I was shaking. Everything was wrong. So I think it kind of started then. It's also hereditary. So my mother and my aunt and my cousin all have it. When my husband and I started to try to conceive, a couple of our friends were having the same problems, and she had endometriosis. I'd never really heard of it, so I immediately went into the doctor because we had all the same symptoms, extremely painful periods, right around ovulation time. Just, I almost feel like there's barbed wire inside of me. I just have tears running down my face in a normal conversation. And this was about, I think, around 2013. So I went to my gynecologist. We had a laparoscopy surgery, which is where they poke 3 holes in your stomach, basically, go through your belly button, inside you, stick cameras around, take pictures, just do a whole exploratory deal inside you. And they came to the conclusion that, yes, they did find endometriosis. They did see those spots on all of my organs, and that was confirmed then. But I knew I had it way sooner than that.
Well, and that surgery was, I can kind of start into my journey, but that surgery was one of the most painful things I had ever been through, in my life. And I think partially because having endo, what they do when they're doing laparoscopic surgery, they have to inflate your abdomen. Like
with
they have
gas.
to add gas, like air. So essentially they're stretching everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the surgery's over, everything's going back to normal.
Right.
Well, as an endo patient, that going back to normal is one of the most painful things. And I had my surgery post a first child. It was way worse than child labor. Like that was the most pain I've ever been in my life is post that laparoscopic surgery.
Wow, I have very similar experience. Yes.
So,
I also looked pregnant, which is the worst when you have endometriosis and you're trying to get pregnant, is looking pregnant half of the month, and you're not.
Oh my God.
So
yeah, people's comments sometimes can just cut like a knife.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, my diagnosis was in 2012. However, since my early teen years, I really knew the same. Like I had super awful cycles. I was one of those late girls to get my period, so I had heard people talk about it. Yeah, no, mine was extremely different than anyone had ever experienced. So there's that. I like to be a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
So does my body.
Yeah.
But I also could never be on a birth control. Birth controls, tried a lot of different birth controls, and I would either lose a lot of weight, and I'm a fairly thin being as it is, so I couldn't afford to lose 20 pounds. or I would just be so sick on top of in so much pain that I kind of gave up. I kind of gave up on that. I was just like, well, I'll just be ultra careful. Yeah, be smart about it. No, like definitely inform any partners. Like, this is the deal. This is my life.
Yeah.
That worked for me through my teen years, knock on wood. But I think things really, when we had my daughter, Ava, I was 25. My husband and I got married at 21, and we were high school sweethearts. So we had been together for a long time. Everything seemed to get better. After we had my daughter, the pain seemed to go away. And it was just like, oh my gosh, is this what my body just needed? Like, and then when we started to think about potentially having another one, I think Ava was around 3. I was having severe pain. And I remember this one time at work, I worked in an office with a lot of men, but I had one female coworker. And I happened to go to the bathroom. I was having just extreme pain, and I passed out, and she found me in the bathroom. And that was the point in which it was like, that's it. I need to like go and talk to somebody real about this pain, not just go into the doctor, like be half honest and not give them the full story. Like, I need to explain them. My coworker found me in the bathroom, and I was probably there 40 minutes. Like,
right. Yeah.
So that was kind of my pushing point and my tipping point into really going in. So I went in, and they did ultrasounds and found a grapefruit-sized cyst on one ovary, and then like a golf ball-sized cyst on the other. And the concerning part for anyone who has experienced cysts or has not, liquid-filled cysts are very normal. Apparently, our bodies, when we go to have a period and ovulate an egg, sometimes that egg doesn't ovulate and turns into a cyst. So that's kind of, in the nutshell, my non-medical version of how cysts form. So there was a solid cyst. That was concerning. Everyone was concerned. My doctor was concerned. The fact that I was having so much pain for so many years, everyone was like, this is absolutely cancer. So that was something a mother of a 3-year-old just starting her career doesn't really want to hear, is that you have ovarian cancer. So started the whole process, had a lot of blood tests. Everything was inconclusive from the blood work. So they rushed me into surgery with Minnesota Oncology. And thankfully, after that laparoscopic surgery, it was laparoscopic, and they came out and they're like, it's not cancer, but you have severe endometriosis. It was an endometrioma that had gone crazy. So endometriomas are like cysts or tumors that like are just really solid filled portions of this endometriosis tissue. So we're getting real medical with you.
You can feel them too.
Yeah, sometimes you can. They feel it's a bizarre thing. So very thankful that I found out what it was, because then I could start understanding my pain, understanding where that was, and just knowing that that's something that I'm not going to probably be able to help, right? So that doctor said, well, if you're wanting to have another child, we've completely like removed as much as possible. Now is your time. The pain I felt after that surgery was unbelievable. And we did. We ended up, that ended up working for us. And about a year later, we got pregnant with our son. My pain went away again. I was like, oh my gosh. So talking to doctors and talking to people, apparently pregnancy
cures it.
Which is really great and awesome. Until fast forward to life now, my husband and I, my career took off. I was styling, creative directing, really working hard. I was like, nope, I don't want to have another baby until our son's 5. Like, we're really good. But we wanted a lot of children. Like, I think our goal number was 5 at the first, and then he finally talked me into 3, right? So I went through this emotional journey of like being ready to have another one. And then most recently, so our son is 5, and we started trying 2 years ago. I think I was like, okay, he's 3. I can do it. Like, this is good. Wasn't getting pregnant. I was like, oh, like maybe it's just I'm stressed. I didn't take the time to go in at that point. So we went for almost 2 years of trying without getting pregnant, which the first 2 times were, in the grand scheme of things, very, very easy. So went in, I noticed that when I ovulate, so much information about lady parts today, guys. When I ovulate, like I can tell. There's discharge. I can tell there's certain areas are swollen. Like I know when I'm ovulating. And that might have been the years of training of not being on a birth control, of knowing like when I'm ovulating and when to like not have sex with people that I don't, want to have a child with. So I wasn't ovulating. And I was like, I got to talk to a doctor about this. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not a doctor, but I think that I'm not ovulating. And she's like, okay, we'll do some tests. She's like, yeah, you're right. You're not ovulating. But we have some more news. Your numbers are really low. One particularly being your egg reserve number, your hormone that would measure what a woman would have for eggs left, in their body. And the average at my age should be somewhere around above 4 at least. I'm 0.3.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh.
that was one of those numbers that I was just like, that can't be right. Like I'm 34. Like that can't be right. But what I've learned through this process is that endometriosis causes a lot of pain and damage to your ovaries. So yeah, that was hard to hear that news and that word of, infertility. That's been a hard word.
That's the worst word. It's a horrible thing to say. It's a horrible thing to my fertility clinic actually is called RMIA, is Reproductive Medicine Infertility Associates. So not fertility associates, infertility associates. And that's, I drive up to that sign every other day to go get my blood done. We are going through fertility treatments right now and doing IVF, but the infertility on the outside of the building is so daunting to drive up to. You just see that word and it's just, it hurts a lot, and I feel broken. I'm sure you feel like the same way.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think for me, the reaction that I got when I explained to my husband, like that was the number, the reaction I got from him was like anger, and that the world was doing this to him. So not only am I going through this, my husband was like, why the world, like, what is going on? Like, why would this happen? Like, I'm like, I don't know, but it's my fucking body too. So I'm like kind of also going through this, but like, that's been hard. That's been hard on our relationship. It's been hard on that perception of that he wouldn't just be like, oh my God, let me help you. But he also is feeling and dealing with this word and this idea of infertility.
Yeah. It's not a similar thing at all. My husband is a military guy. He's a Marine. Somehow just kind of puts his feelings aside. It's very nice. But I do feel like I'm stealing a lot of our good years together, because I'm in so much pain. So I know that he doesn't want to show it, but he's on the couch with me constantly. We don't get to do anything that we used to. I feel I'm stealing it from him sometimes. We used to leave to go out of town every other weekend because, we are vintage dealers too. So we would go on road trips and go look for clothing all over the United States. And
Amazing.
It would be every other weekend. We were gone for 3-4 days and we'd come back with a giant, truck and van full of stuff, and we'd ship stuff back, and we'd just be constantly go, go, go. And now I just can't. Recently I've missed my cousin's wedding. I miss things that I have outfits picked out for, things that I've planned for other people, dinners, stuff like that, photo shoots, which are my favorite thing in the world to do. I've canceled things that I've planned. That's another thing. So yeah, I feel like I'm robbing other people of their time and energy and effort and love sometimes, because I also can't give it back. So, okay. How you were saying about how your career was taking off and, this can't happen at this time. And I don't feel like there's ever a really good time for this to happen, but definitely not when you're in the prime of your life, and that's when this happens to most women.
It's so common to happen late 20s,
Yep.
early to mid 30s. That it is that peak time of our lives.
I want to get all this stuff done, and I want to be creative, and
I think
I can't.
this idea of not making assumptions too. You mentioned that you've had to cancel things. You've had to cancel on photo shoots. Nothing makes me more frustrated than when someone cancels. And I immediately write them off. I'm like,
Right.
that's it. You didn't care. You didn't commit. But I think
I'm the exact same way.
Shifting mindset and that idea of assuming and making those assumptions that person did just flake, or maybe there's something else going on. So I think thinking through this and knowing this,
quite recently,
know that people may have other, parts of life going on. And if you know this is you, and that that you're having some pain days, keep the team aware.
Right.
Let people into your life, and not block them out because of this. I think that's been a big thing for me, is being able to let people into my life when I'm in pain or just can't pull through to do certain things.
Yeah, a couple projects recently, I've actually had to tell people, look, here's my situation. This is what I go through every day. And I'm going through these infertility treatments right now, and I quite possibly could not make it, and that's helped a lot. But it's, why do I have to share my life with strangers is the problem, and tell them, hey, I'm in all of this pain. I do feel like a lot of times people don't take it as serious as it is, but I do have had to give people a heads up, because again, I'm the same way. If people cancel on me, or they just don't come last minute, they're gone, and I'm done with them. Totally. So I don't like being that person at all. So I've had to open up to strangers, and my life's kind of out there for people now. And now it's definitely out there for people.
Oh, I know what that's like.
Okay.
CJ has turned a new year in which, Blunt Cuts has been an amazing opportunity and platform to share other women's stories, but it's also been amazingly healing for me to just be my authentic, honest self to the world.
That's great, yeah.
But that is scary.
It's
so driving
scary.
here, knowing we were doing this topic today, I'm like, holy hell, I am opening the box into my life even more deeply than some of my best friends know.
Right, yeah.
As I hold things very, very tightly. So I get it. Being open and honest is hard. Well, you mentioned fertility treatments. Yeah. And I think sharing a little bit of a journey there as well. That's where my husband and I are at as well.
Okay.
And we found out that, this level is really low and I wasn't ovulating. So the very first thing that they wanted to do was Clomid, which is, the gateway drug into fertility is what I like to call Clomid.
It is and by the way, ladies, if you go on Clomid, just know the world is going to crash around you. If I could just give you, I had been on the couch before with Clomid, thinking that the world was ending, and that is not me. I've had tears running down my face for 6 hours before staring into space on Clomid, and I'm not a big crier, so I feel for you on that drug.
Yeah, well, yes. I am a big crier, so I think I'm just crying more, and that's just part of life. And the big thing that our doctor said was, well, we'll do Clomid, a trigger shot, see if we can get you to ovulate, and go from there. So started Clomid, and then they're like, oh, this trigger shot. It was the weirdest experience. I had to go to the pharmacy, get it myself, go back to them, have them shoot it in my butt. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What? This journey is such and everything, every single penny is out of pocket. And this shit is not cheap, and I think that was the beginning of oh my God, what am I entering? And our doctors were like, well, IVF is probably going to be the path because of your egg reserve. You were not going to know. So I ovulated, had the trigger shot, and to my surprise, after the 2-week wait, which is the wait in between when you ovulate and when you have a cycle, or when you would have a positive pregnancy test, I got a positive pregnancy test. And that was exciting. And I was like, yeah, fuck you, doctors. You don't know. Those numbers don't mean anything. I'm superhuman. So I had a creative conference that I had to speak at. So I did that. And then Fashion Week was about to start. So we were prepping a big event for Blunt Cuts and going through all these things. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that this worked and helped me ovulate. And that's all I needed. And maybe they were wrong about my numbers, or maybe that first test was inconclusive. Went to the doctor after my first appointment. Everything was fine. Woke up a week later at 3 a.m. in a pool of blood. And drove myself to the emergency room and, went through that miscarriage thing alone. We had two children at home. I woke my husband to let him know, like, I had to go to the doctor, but I couldn't even at that time share that loss with him because this was something he wanted so badly that I had just came into, and I was like, okay, I'm ready, let's do it. And then finding out it's not going to be easy to do it, and then losing the pregnancy was hard. And this happened 3 days before Fashion Week.
I'm so sorry.
This happened right before our big event that I had to have. This happened before I had to be around 1 billion people in my industry, and I couldn't talk about, I just couldn't talk about what I had been through. Yeah, that's where I am right now. After that loss, it's a hard thing. We're taking some time off. I need to take some time off from treatments, but I'm just at the very wee beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
Hearing your journey.
Yeah.
And how there's so much potentially to go.
There's so much potential.
I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this. I don't know if I can do this.
I think that we all feel like that. We're just sitting in the studio and I'm on the verge of tears, and
I'm
CJ
clearly
is
crying like a whale over here.
I'm a little speechless. And I did tell you this on the phone. It's almost comforting to hear that someone else is going through something that I've gone through in the past, and something that I go through daily. And I told you on the phone, I thought I didn't want to say that I feel better that you're going through this, but I feel better that I know that I'm not alone. And I hope that you feel better that you're not alone.
Well, and that's why we wanted to do this for you guys today, because we know if it's us two wardrobe stylists, pushing entrepreneurs, experiencing this bullshit, you guys are too. And I think as women too, we can get salty and jaded at the new woman going through her first 2 journeys of this. But I will tell you, I am the new woman going through my first weeks and months and journeys of this. I mean, we've only known that we've been kind of infertile for about 4 months. So it's not 5 months.
Okay.
So it is new. And then I got that awful here you go. Here's your gift on a silver platter.
Right.
Just kidding. That egg wasn't good enough to become a child,
No,
and so now I know that that's going to be every time I potentially get pregnant. I'm not just having a 2 week wait to see if I'm pregnant. I'm having a 9-month wait to see if this baby will stay.
Right.
That's.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So my fertility clinic actually has this program where it's called the Warranty Hope program, where you get 3 tries of IVF, three rounds of IVF, and you pay all up front, and it's all cash, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
It's it's college fund
it's
money.
It's a college fund. So instead of sending the child that I were trying to make to college, we're actually just trying to make it, and then we'll see if they can get through.
I mean, they're going to be really brilliant and scholarships. This is the goal.
That is the goal. So you get 3 tries. It's all cash. It's awful. So I've had to go off all of my medication that I thrive on. And I give myself shots every single day, sometimes twice a day. You were talking about the trigger shot. The trigger shot is the worst. The trigger shot is what actually makes you ovulate. So you can go in there and take your eggs out. It's a painful, painful shot. And again, you're administering these to yourself.
And I was like, hell no, I'm bringing it back from the pharmacy to you, and you're going to do this to me.
Right. Isn't that weird? It's just a weird,
I was not about to do it myself, because I know.
Oh, they did it.
They did it for me, because I nope. I wasn't there yet, but maybe in these next rounds I will be. But holy hell. Like,
so the night of my trigger
scary.
shot, we had to do 3 different shots right in the stomach. You have to measure them out yourself. I have no idea if I was doing it correctly. I had no idea I'm not a nurse. You know, they just send you with these papers and they tell you, oh, this ratio to this ratio, and no air bubbles and blah, blah, blah. And, I kind of want to be a badass and stick a needle in myself, but at the same time, I'm a huge wimp. So I would have to get on FaceTime with my best friend and just set it on the counter so there was someone else with me every day just to stick needles in my stomach. I would wake up, have this little routine of all of my medications, and it was this big, long, weird thing. IVF journey right now. So they did get 15 eggs from me, I'm sorry, 13 eggs. And that is so weird for me. I haven't had good news in
that seems
years.
Absolutely phenomenal.
It was such a good feeling. So it was on Halloween. So it was Friday, 13 Halloween. I thought that was a really cool number. 10 were fertilized I think all of them were fertilized, and then 10 lived to be blastocysts, and that is the 5-6 day period where they're actually in a petri dish, just growing to their potential. So only 3 died, and that's great. So I actually have a blastocyst inside of me, and so that's an embryo. I have one inside of me right now. We find out if I'm pregnant on Wednesday, so fingers crossed. I am still in a lot of pain, though.
Now I'm on the verge of tears.
Yeah. I'm in a lot of pain. It's, we have nine embryos on ice as well. So I don't have a lot of hope to it. That's the worst part about this disease is it's broken me down for so long that, I don't think this is going to work. And I just keep saying, next time let's put 2 in, next time let's put 2 in. But I just don't have that hope anymore that I did when I was younger. Talked about it so much because
me too.
That is another thing is when I have been talking about it, which I hate that it has become my life. When I have been talking about it, it comforts me. And also other people, I used to be so alone. I used to feel so, so alone. And the internet, it helps somewhat, but it doesn't help with those real life connections. But when you talk about it and then other people say, oh, my friend has that, or my mom has that, or my daughter has that. And it helps so much. You just open up these doors for people and you share your experiences. And I know if I didn't have my laparoscopy, I would still be in pain. I'd be crying every single month. I wouldn't know exactly what was wrong with me, but now I know and I can feel every single thing. And I can share with other people. We both can.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah,
today.
You too. Because I was not in a good place right now to come in and talk about trends, even though I wanted to.
Well, you can always come back.
Well, yeah, I would love to come back. Yeah.
But this means more.
It does. It means so much more.
So thank you.
You guys are going through any sort of infertility problems, even if it's, your first month and you're scared. I would love to talk about it because now it's out there. So,
well, thank you again, Christina, for being here. And let's please continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find us at Blunt Cuts Podcast.